what a week this has been. I'm just gonna jump right into it. On Tuesday at 8 a.m. we went to Valencia. Valencia is a beautiful city, especially at this time of year. The people gather in the streets wearing traditional Valencian clothing. There are various parades with marching bands throughout the whole city. And people have constructed these ginormous papier-mâché structures and painstakingly painted them and made them beautiful and perfect. And then they display these sculptures grandly in the street. It's important enough to stop traffic. And what do they do with these beautiful sculptures that they've painstakingly crafted and painted and made a masterpiece? They burn them! They take those beautiful giant things that they made and they just burn them! It just hurts my artist's heart that they do that. Somebody spent so long shading and mixing the colors, and painting on a 3D surface is harder than painting on a 2D surface. Before night fell and the burning began, we went to a park called Gulliver's Park. Gulliver's Travels is about a guy who travels to different locations, and one of the locations he travels to, everybody is tiny, except him, so he's like a giant. He ends up on this island unconscious and wakes up to find little people crawling all over him trying to tie him up. So we visited a giant park in the shape of an unconscious Gulliver. It was a pretty cool park. We played hide and seek. The first place I hid was in his sleeve, which is a really good hiding spot, I think. Second place was under a hand, also a good hiding spot. We stayed in Valencia until 2:30 in the morning to truly appreciate the burning of beautiful papier-mâché sculpture. To be fair, it was an impressive sight. Vive Valencia! After a 5-hour bus ride, we got back to Alcalá at like 7:30 in the morning. Needless to say, I was pretty wiped out on Wednesday, barely functioning on Thursday, and ready to go again by Friday. On Friday morning, we got up early to catch our plane to Portugal. We left at 4:30 and we got to Portugal at about 8 in the morning. This weekend was a free travel weekend, so we didn't go with the entire group. It was just me, Jamie, and Maddie. We took the train to Sintra, Portugal, which is next to Lisbon. The first place we went was El Palacio de Pena, the Palace of Pain. It was a very colorful palace hidden in the middle of jungle-like gardens. They even had a gift shop and a restaurant inside the castle, which is something that I hadn't seen before. Most of the castles we visited in Spain have been older, kind of monochrome and falling apart. But this castle was intact and going strong. We walked through the castle grounds and they were like literally a jungle. There was a greenhouse, a birdhouse, a house of columns. There were flowers everywhere. It was gorgeous. There were little ponds with flowers floating in them. There was fish in the ponds. And we found the literal Swan Lake. We made our way back to the train station and we met Marco, who was the owner of the place we're staying at. So I wasn't aware of this, but we accidentally rented a mansion. No regrets though, it was awesome! So when researching Airbnbs online, we decided to go for the Bonsai Museum, and we figured, oh, that must just be the title, it must not really be a museum. We were wrong. It was a museum! There were bonsai trees everywhere. It was very Japanese. It's easier to just show you. So this place was awesome, and we were in the main room. It wasn't even a room, it was a full-size house. We had our own kitchen, we had tiny little fruits, which I think they grew on the bonsai trees from there. They had porcelain plates, we had our own lounge, and up the stairs was the bedrooms. Outside there was a zen garden with live goldfish and turtles. It was very zen. Felt very zen there. I almost tripped trying to film and walk up the stairs, actually. But up the stairs there were these Japanese paintings on the wall. And there were these convenient, beautifully wrapped towels on the beds, just waiting to be used. And outside our window we had a view of the front garden, which was also gorgeous. The bathroom was very zen as well. It smelled of incense and meditation. It was, oh, there's Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Yeah, I felt like I was in the lap of luxury. My room had like a red theme, which is very cool. I had a bed, which was big enough for 2 people, but I was the only one that slept there. And the curtains revealed a beautiful view of the outside garden. Once again. There it is. Let's could see. Essentially, we literally had a night at the museum. We ventured back out into Sintra. We visited La Quinta, which had not only a castle and a temple, it had wells. The wells were huge and they had stairs. We went inside these caves. There was waterfalls, there was ponds. Jamie suggested that we go to this special sweet shop that they only have in Portugal. And we went and the sweets were really good. I think it was called a Tragestia. It was a pastry. It was full of this like banana bread batter / applesauce filling. It was super good. Throughout the day, of course, there were some challenges. You're in a new country you've never been in before and you're trying to find your way around. I'm just really glad for Jamie and Maddie because they are both awesome girls. They're just cool-headed, they're on top of things, they're not ones to freak out. On Saturday morning, we left the Bonsai Museum. Now, some hotels give you like a card or a chocolate or something on your way out. Well, this museum, being a bonsai museum, gives you trees. So yeah, here's my tree that I got. I named it Bonsaimon. Bonsai trees require high maintenance, so I'm not sure how long this little guy's gonna last. I promise I'm watering him though. Anyways, I took Bonsaimon and some juice boxes and we headed to the beach. The sand wasn't too hot, it was pleasantly cool actually. We took some fun pictures walking along the beach. There were these stone steps that you could step down and there was rocks at the bottom. There was also places that they carved out of the stone so kids could swim and not be in the waves. It was very smart. Portugal's on top of things. I found a ton of shells on the beach. Remember when I found all those shells in France? These were cooler. So I wrapped up all the seashells I found in this scarf so they wouldn't get damaged. Scarf's pretty sandy. I'm opening it on my bed, which is probably not the best idea. So first off, I found some sea porcelain. You've heard of sea glass? Well, this is porcelain that was dropped in the sea and smoothed. Very Portuguese. Next up, I found some fossilized coral, which is pretty snazzy. There was lots of barnacle shells on the beach. Found a snail shell. Got some sand in it. This is actually the shell of a sea urchin. This is what it looks like without its spines. Here's another sea urchin piece. Here is a mussel shell that is completely covered in barnacles and growth. Pretty growth if you ask me. This is a rock that's just been super smoothed by the ocean. This is just a piece of a clam, but the clam must have been gigantic. A tiny little piece of sea urchin. As you can see, that tiny piece is purple and the bigger pieces are green. Another barnacle shell. And finally, we just have these shells up here, which are all from the same kind of animal. So something you may not know about clam shells is that when they get worn down, they actually bend. They don't keep their rigid shape. This one's kind of bent, but it's still pretty thick. They're very shiny. This one's actually deep purple, which I think is really cool. This one's just grayish black, which you can't really tell, but it's really cool, trust me. These two are also deep purple. These ones are both like a rosy pink. This one's got the purple mixed with the black going on there. This one is straight up red. You can't see it that well. This one is your traditional white. And then this one looks white, but actually it's yellow on one side. These two are very, very thin, so that light passes through, and actually a hole was worn into them where the shell was the thinnest. Ta-da! From the beach we took a bus and went to El Castelo de São Jorge. Jorge. Side note, in Portugal they speak Portuguese, which is not Spanish. Spanish, Portuguese, different. And it's not just the difference between like American speak and British speak, because those are both English. Now this was different on a different level, but it was great because Jamie speaks Portuguese. She served her mission in Brazil, so she was the star while we were there. Anyways, Castelo de São Jorge, I think is how you'd say it in Portuguese. It was a cool castle, very big, very stony, great views of Lisbon. In the Castle de São Jorge, we realized that Jamie got burnt, but she's okay now. Then we made our way back to the airport. Yep, it was a pretty quick Portugal trip. I wish we had more time there, but alas, I'm glad we got to be there even for a little bit. Getting on the plane was an experience, and in a good way. When I got there, I'd mixed up my Madrid to Lisbon ticket with my Madrid to Lisbon ticket, and so I had a plane ticket in hand thinking, oh yeah, this is the right one. I scanned it and I was like, eh. And I was like, oh no! So I was digging through my backpack trying to find it, and the guy at the head of security literally said, go, it's fine. They didn't even ask if I had a passport. I didn't give them any form of identity. Oh, you don't have a boarding pass? That's fine. No passport? No problem. Come on in, leave your shoes on, it's fine, it's fine. The security guy literally wasn't even looking at the screen as the bags went through the scanner, which is good because I didn't want to have to explain the bonsai tree. Honestly, I kind of wish more airports were like that because it's just so much more relaxing and all you're trying to do is travel and have fun. One of our assignments was to translate a Spanish poem into English, and Jamie, Maddie, and Nicole all asked for my help translating. And I was very flattered. I was like, sure, I'd love to help. Then on Sunday for FHE, we played this game where we each wrote our name on the top of the piece of paper and we passed it to the next person. And the next person had to write a compliment or something nice about us. We kept passing it, and there was 15 people in the group, so eventually you just had a page full of nice things about you. I feel like that was a really good game for our last FHE together. That's all for this week. Ciao for now. How was lunch? Bless you.
So are you ready?
Yeah.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah. It's been recorded.